Welcome back. We're now 14 months into making Tales for the Long Nights. I've just launched the Steam page and our announcement trailer, and everything is going swimmingly. We've already gathered over 1,000 wishlists for the game, and later on in this video I'll go over how I got so many right out of the gate. I'm going straight from the Steam page launch into gearing up and developing new changes and features for the first ever public demo. I really want to get the game into people's hands and have them out on these expeditions, getting their teams brutally murdered. In this episode, I've built a brand new Relics System that's a classic staple of any roguelike that will hopefully shake up each and every run, changing the team comps that you build each time and how you adventure through the wilderness. I've also got a ton of brand new handcrafted random events for the game, as well as about 1 million quality of life improvements just to make the game, feel polished for its demo. For those of you new to the game, Tales for the Long Nights is a classic RPG roguelike built around this tactical combat system. Each run plays out as this little self-contained roguelike adventure. You play as an inexperienced travelling merchant journeying through this dangerous and constantly changing wilderness. Kind of imagine if Slay the Spire had a baby with Divinity or Might of Magic. That's kind of the elevator pitch for the game. Maybe it was a threesome. You have to recruit this small party of mercenaries to protect you on the way. There are currently 12 of them in the game, and you can mix and match from hundreds of abilities to try and put together these overpowered team combinations to maybe not die. You'll have to loot or craft powerful gear for your team, gather materials, fish food to survive. The world is really just littered with random and handmade events. We're focusing on the road to the upcoming public demo, where you'll be able to play through the first act of the game in the lowlands. That includes all 12 mercenaries, hundreds of abilities and relics, dozens of random events, and a whole load of reasons to replay it over and over again each time your team gets turned into dinner. The biggest addition this month is the staple of pretty much every single roguelike. It's my Relics System. Game-changing and rare items that will influence the direction of your run. Some relics focus on the non-combat side of the adventure, letting you maybe scout further on the expedition map, improve your crafting outcomes, boost the gathering or fishing rates, or just unlocking new ways to access events. The Combat Relics directly shift how you approach unsurprisingly, the combat in the game. A few of these relics, it might favour your infiltrator unit, pushing you to find some synergy with abilities that maybe exploit the relic's strength. If you got your hands on the serrated dirk relic, for example, suddenly that 30% bonus to backstab damage has you rebuilding your team comp around some sneaky and high-risk plays for your infiltrator or trickster units. I really want getting a relic to steer you towards a powerful team comp without handing you just, instant power off the bat, like do 20% more damage. These combat relics are all about guiding your decision making, not just steamrolling enemies out of the gate with bigger numbers. I want them to nudge you towards that moment where everything just clicks together and your overpowered comp carries you deeper into the expedition before you find something new and you have to pivot again. These combat relics really will be the core of how we define what is and isn't overpowered in the game. Your items and your abilities obviously play a big part in how strong your team is, but they will pale in comparison to when you can align them all with a really, really strong relic. At the start of every expedition, you receive 2 random non-combat relics. These give your party some small early pushes in a certain direction, maybe helping you gear up 1 or 2 of your units quickly with some basic gear, or providing some crafting materials to get your item crafting sets going. Some of them will help you get your economy going for the run. For example, the Mercenaries Charter relic rewards you with extra gold for each encounter that you get through, or maybe you get the Unremarkable Inheritance relic that starts you off with just a small extra sack of gold. Some might just drop you a few consumables to help survive the first day of the journey, while Others offer a bit more of a tactical edge, granting you a free scouting action to reveal the immediate map ahead and assist in the decision making that makes the expedition so crucial. This brings us to a really new important part of the expedition, the new scouting and stamina system that I've implemented. Previously, everything on the map was uncovered and exposed, and you could make decisions for day 4 of the expedition right off the bat. And I didn't really like how that felt. You would essentially always be able to choose a path at the start and follow it, regardless of what happened in the run. So now, when you start, the expedition map is completely covered, completely hidden. You can see the paths, but you don't know what's on them. As you move across the expedition map, you need to spend some stamina to scout ahead of where you are and maybe reveal the events and locations that you're expecting to challenge that day. Now, the stamina system is also really important because it's used for a wide variety of things you can do on your expedition. You need to spend stamina to scout ahead, you need to spend it to craft items, you need to spend it to heal at campsites. So really, the management of your stamina is going to be really important for the expedition. This adds in that element of decision making rather than just letting you do every single thing that's available at every single point in time. You've got to decide, do I want to scout ahead and see what's going to challenge me next? Or maybe do I want to spend some stamina to craft some good gear for my team? It should be these kind of decision making efforts that turn a good run into a great run. For this, I created a brand new scouting ahead animation, and I think it looks really cool. To support all of these new systems, where the focus is on, expanding the expedition diversity, I've also expanded the pool of all of our random events that appear across the expedition map. In the last devlog, we built the new conversation system, but now it's being properly put to work. When you spot an event location on the map ahead, you won't know what's waiting for you until you arrive. And thanks to our terrain-based event system, the same encounter in the mountains plays out slightly different to one in the forest. You might stumble across a merchant holed up in a roadside cave who'll upgrade one of your abilities to a higher rarity for a price, or maybe you'll meet the traveling scholar who'll sell you a new ability page, or even swap one of yours for something new. The inspiration for this random event system obviously comes from Slay the Spire. I love how they use the random events in that game to tell the story and do some world building and do it all diegetically, do it in the game rather than have you read a log that you find at the side of a road. I've really indulged this world building bit. We've got a load of more unique events that are very much tied into the world and the lore. There's the Twisted Forge that lets you craft higher quality items with a unique weapon passive, but at a blood cost of the unit it bears to craft with it. The Overgrown Chest event is hidden in these ancient forest ruins where you can try your luck at picking the trapped lock for a unique reward. It's these non-combat events. They're designed to really feel like true narrative decisions, shaking up your run with some choice, some risk, some reward that you can't find anywhere else. Some of them even hold, relics or one-of-a-kind items that don't appear anywhere else in the game. To make sure each event doesn't feel like a copy-paste interaction, I started adding much more depth to the conversation system. Some of these events, they have new options like paying bribes. There's, party composition checks, weighted skill checks. For example, you might get a free access to the monastery simply because you brought a Luminarch unit with you. Maybe have a mercenary who can equip trickery abilities, and suddenly your odds of lockpicking that overgrown chest just got a little bit better. It's all about rewarding team building and leaning into the kind of characters that you choose to travel with, making your team feel impactful outside of combat as well as in combat. All of this new depth led us to our largest and most ambitious event so far, the new Walled Monastery. Unlike most events that offer a single quick interaction, a single quick decision, this one plays out like a little mini mission on your expedition. Events like these are where I'm starting to inject a little bit more of that world building and lore, diegetically through actions and choices, not just endless lore dumps or NPCs who've never heard of personal space. Now, before I jump into all of the other quality of life changes that I made over the past month, I've also reached a really big milestone in the development. I've started properly marketing the game. The goal is to build up around 10,000 wishlists ahead of launch, and I've still got, the public demo and Steam Next Fest appearances all in the books ahead. I'm feeling very confident we can get there. In fact, in just the first 2 weeks since launching the Steam page, we've already crossed over 1,000 wishlists. Mostly those are from some really good posts on Reddit and a couple of videos here on YouTube. So each devlog, I'll share my current wishlist count and what actually moved the needle for me, whether it was a video or a post or something else entirely. Now let's talk about the quality of life changes. It's because while Tales for the Long Night is a proud indie game, it doesn't mean it should feel like you're working a spreadsheet every time you want to equip a new hat. I'm dead set on making sure that the game launches with the kind of quality of life polish that you'd expect from the other games in your library. I'm talking about, the smart features borrowed from MMOs, RPGs, and other roguelikes. Anything that stops you spending half your run clicking through menus like you're filing taxes. One thing that always just felt a bit off in the earlier builds was how you'd get tossed straight into the expedition map with no real clue as to what you were working with, or more importantly, who you were working with. You'd have to manually check your units, read your abilities, peek at the relics, and hope you didn't miss something important. It's not ideal, so I've come up with a completely reworked start of each run. Now, you begin at the Mercenaries Guild in Driftwood, which is the hub town where we'll be implementing the core of the meta progression system in the future. Here, you'll meet the new Guildmaster. He's a character that I've modelled, and he's just the grumpiest little dwarf. He'll give you a quick lowdown on how hiring mercenaries works, what it costs, and generally set the stage for the expedition. Or, if you're the skip tutorial kind of guy, you can hop straight into the run. To fix this issue, I built the new Expedition UI that shows you exactly what team the Mercenaries Guild has assigned for you, and what abilities they're packing, and what relics you're starting out with. There's no more guesswork and no more sifting through menus. On top of that, we've rebuilt the entire item and relic inventory system, and the best part is it now actually works, unlike the half-broken mess I just politely ignored for way too long. I can swap items around to my heart's content. I'm not going to understate how frustrating getting this bloody inventory system working was. Next up, in the same kind of vein, it was the unit equipment system. I built a nice, clean UI that shows you everything about your mercenaries. Their gear, their stats, the abilities, the lot. It's very tidy. The problem is, having to open it every time you want to equip something really slowed down the pace of the game. So I made this new quick equip, hard to say, quick equip feature. Now, when you find a shiny new sword, you can instantly compare it to your team's current gear, see what stats you're gaining or losing, and swap it in with a couple of clicks. Bang, better gear, less faff, straight back into the game. I'm also working on a similar system for the abilities next, same principle, less clicking, more adventuring, but that'll come in the future. Then I turned my attention to crafting. Previously, you'd have to open the full crafting UI just to see if you could cobble together a new sword, so I built Quick Craft. It helps you with this simple overview. Here's what you can make, here's the rarity. Do you want to do it? Done. Now, if you do want to get fancy, add some enhancing materials or craft a unique item or whatever, you still need the full crafting UI, but the rest of the time, when you're just trying to whip up a decent axe before something eats you, it's a game changer. Let me know what kind of quality of life features you'd expect to see in a game like this in the comments below, so I can start building up a backlog of some good features to develop when I get sick of making actual progress on my game. Or if you want to direct a line to me, little sneak peeks of the work and a chance to test the game before it hits the Steam page, you can join my Discord, link below. I'm pretty active in there, and I've been showing quite a few teasers of my development every week. And with all of that, the game's in a really great place right now. we've got a full playable loop from the starting town all the way to the first act boss, halfway through Act 1. If you can survive that long, that is. The first half of the act should take around 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how skilled, lucky, or indecisive you are. This will be the core of the upcoming demo, letting you play through the first half of the first act. There's still a chunky list of bugs to squash and a few more features I wanted to slip in before demo day, but everything's moving in the right direction, and I'd like to think we're just a few months away from having a polished and playable demo in your hands, and once that's done, the full game is really just content and refinement away. It's a genuinely exciting place to be. This is my first game. I've never gotten this far before. And, the response to the previous episodes has been great. My wish list count, watching it climb, has been so genuinely motivating. So if you'd like to support the game, or me, slowly losing my mind in the best way, the best thing you can do is subscribe. Like the video if you liked it, and most importantly, you can wishlist Tales of Long Nights on Steam now. It really helps more than you know, and I'll keep you posted on every step of the journey with another monthly devlog next month.